I am almost out of gas, but given the fact that I've already drank the pre and I took my time getting into the car, and I can already kind of feel the beta alanine start to tingle me from the blue shark gummy hostile hostility. I just want to get straight into the gym. So 11, oh, 10 mile range. It'll be enough. We will make it. It's not just as you should be in tune with your body for your lift when you've got just enough gas to get to where you're headed. You got that mind engine connection. So plan for today is just an absolute methodical, technical, and well executed execution of chest. That's kind of my plan. And I kind of want to maybe not change it up per se, but I really want to make sure I hit it from all angles. So, with chest, there's kind of a couple of different basic styles of sets, right? Let's just break it down from the tree of sets for chest, right? At the root of the tree, there's just your chest, right? Movements that hit your chest. Then it kind of splits off into two branches with pressing and flies. So very different. Obviously with the fly, you're going to be able to get pretty much most of the intentional work and feeling in the squeezing portion. Plus, you'll be able to get a really good stretch as well. But with the press, you can load up a lot more tension onto your chest. But maybe at the top, you don't necessarily get that squeeze as good as you could get with a pec deck or cable flies. So beyond those two roots or those two branches, right, you can go heavier, set of like 8 to 12, where once you do that many reps, you can't do any more without it being partials or assisted reps. So that would be like, I try to do as much weight as I can on the pec deck, and at around rep 8 to 12, I can't touch my hands together anymore. So I start doing partials until I can barely move. Or with pressing, like chest press or a machine or bench or Smith, whatever, 8 reps, and like at that last rep, it's questionable whether or not it's actually going to go up. So those are pretty much no. And then you could go a little bit lighter. So with flies, that would become more of a, maybe not an endurance test per se, but you're just kind of sitting there and you're locking down for 30 to 45 seconds of just, or honestly, probably just as much pain as you can give yourself in a sense. If I were to sit on the cable flies, instead of doing like 50 pounds, which is a weight where I'd probably hit rep like 10, and I'd say to myself, we're getting close to done. If I do like 25 and I go real slow and just squeeze it the whole time, by the time I hit rep 20, I can still do 10 more, maybe 15 more, but I'm really just trying to put myself into a burning sensation. And similar with pressing, but I don't know. I don't feel like I get much out of light pressing. Like if I do, let's say I sit down on the pec deck, mid-workout to later, and do a heavy set of flies. If I drop the weight by like half and do a light set, I could still get a really good burn, and it'll just be more of a burning set. But with pressing, I kind of feel like I want to at least push the weight to moderate to as much as I can handle. Obviously for 8 to 12 reps. So that's some of the things that I'm thinking about on my way there. But I'm just going to get in there, and once I'm warmed up, whatever kind of calls me to pop a squat on, that's probably what I'll end up doing. So if the incline Smith machine if the Smith machine is open, maybe I'll hop over there and do Smith press, or if it's taken, maybe I'll just do incline barbell. Maybe if both of those are taken, I could do machine. I mean, it's kind of whatever. I feel like the way I talk about the lifts is a little bit counterintuitive, because I bring up all these like styles of sets and like, okay, I want to do this set after this kind of set, and then I want to do it like this, and I want to do it like, I feel like I'm speaking very specifically. I'm almost kind of making it seem like there's a single perfect way to do it. Like, okay, I want to do this, then this, and then one of these with a drop set, and then this, and that was good. It's, don't read into it like that for sure. Really, if I were to kind of break down what I feel like I want to at least accomplish during these workouts is just to make sure that each set is different enough from normal in terms of like what I'm doing. So maybe I do a couple sets of pressing, then I want to totally change it up, do some flies, just kind of back and forth between styles, and make sure that each set is hard. So the order isn't extremely important, like obviously I do kind of prefer going heavier on chest first. I'd want to do my heavy pressing first and then move on to like, cable press for a squeeze or pec deck for flies. But apart from that little framework where I like heavy pressing followed by more squeezing movements, apart from that one sort of rule that I kind of follow for myself, the lift can look like whatever. And I don't think that that's a bad way to go about it. When you talk, or when I see comments talking about how like, I don't track progressive overload, I don't have a chart where I'm like, I did this amount of weight for this many reps last week, so now I want to add a 2.5 pound plate and do it again for this amount of reps. That's, that method has never really jumped out at me, just because it almost seems like it's trying to show you a way to push yourself. Like, okay, if I really want to push myself on this set, then I have to do more than I did last time, which I think is kind of just a little bit of an extra step. Because if you go in to the gym, you've taken your pre, you have your specific lift in mind, and let's say I'm about to do my first couple sets of incline bench. If I can, feel that I'm doing a weight which is pretty much as I can do for 8 to 12, and I do a set to complete failure, I need a spot, then I think I've just pushed myself to as much as I can do. And by doing that on a repetitive basis, I think you just already are gonna, like, just by doing that, just by actually going into the gym and pushing yourself hard on your sets, you're just kind of gonna almost sort of roundabout way cause progressive overload. Because over time, as you get stronger, you're gonna have to use heavier weights to do sets to failure at that same rep range, So I almost feel like if you have to look at a book to tell you what kind of weight to use to push yourself, that's not my thing. Not my thing is what I gotta say about that. But if it works, so if you're turning into a freak, or if you're getting, weekly strength gains and monthly size gains over time, and you've got 100 training books which you're keeping track of, then hey man, if it works, then keep fucking writing them up, keep filling them up with all that data. But that's enough chatting. Let's just get in there and get started. Perfect. Chest is fully pumped, fully freaking pumped. So, kind of following what I was talking about a minute ago in the during the pose down. Yeah, you cannot underestimate the power of food, man. You cannot underestimate the power of macros. I could come in here and for the past, we're getting up, holy shit, man, we're probably approaching not 5.5, maybe 5.25 years deep lifting. And if I hadn't eaten in a calorie surplus, at least like, net for that whole portion of time, then there is no chance that I would be any larger than I was in the beginning. Well, I guess that's not really true. I definitely would be bigger, right? If you take a normal Joe with a normal dude diet, and then you give him a couple years of lifting, and he actually lifts hard, he will obviously be bigger after that than if he hadn't lifted, So, of course, the training is the stimulus that's necessary to turn you from a just a normal dog to a freak. And by freak, I do not mean 250 pounder. If you're if you've lifted for a couple years and you made some substantial gains, you are different. You are definitely sticking out from the majority of folks. Plus, you get some forearm work in too, even if you're wearing a baggy ass shirt, right? You've always got a little bit of beef with you hanging out. But sure, the training is the necessary stimulus to get the ball rolling. You're not going to grow any muscle without training, obviously. But you got to couple that with energy. You can't just have shit from nothing. You can't just turn freaking air into muscle. You think that, I don't think anybody thinks that, but I'm just kind of saying some very strong yet blanket statements. You need some fuel, right? You need, what I kind of think of in my mind is building blocks and, you know, energy style. Building blocks and fuel in a way, right? So I would typically think of protein as building blocks. I need my 250-ish grams per day. You know, around a gram of protein per pound of body weight is a pretty good rule. I don't think you're going to benefit from much more, and it might not be that bad to get a little bit less, but I'd say around right there is the sweet spot. Then you need enough carbs and fats in your system. Fats not only just to have your body function, you need all sorts of cholesterols and whatever to make hormones and shit. But carbs, I think that's the real ticket when it comes to changing your training performance in terms of your diet. If I kept my protein intake the same at 250, and let's say I had my fat intake at, I don't know, maybe 80 grams per day, for me to go from like 200 grams of carbs for a prolonged period of time to, upwards of 900 grams of carbs, that is incredibly different, because that's going to put me in a deficit versus a surplus. And a big surplus with a lot of carbs, right, that's what's going to give you that fullness. Because inside of all your muscles, you've got, and I guess I don't know what the word is called, but you've got basically storage of glycogen, some carbs and water. So if I were to go the next 3 days eating 100 grams of carbs, I would literally shrink down, probably like upwards of maybe even 8 pounds or so. And that's not muscle, that's not fat either. It's just carbs and water that's like inside of my muscles. So if I'm trying to bulk up, then I want everything to be as full as possible for a prolonged period. That's what I feel is, it's going to be a state in which you're actually going to be able to have enough energy to build muscle and recover after hard training. So to put that as simply as possible, eat a fuck ton of food and train hard, and you're going to see some results. Now, when I say a fuck ton of food, that's not just an arbitrary number. I do kind of like to get specific with that. I'm going to track my macros. I may not track my lifts and my number of reps per sets and whatever else, but I feel tracking your macros is imperative to actually making not only sense, but just having accurate control over your build. You don't even have to be a lifter to benefit from tracking your macros. Just the average dude, I think he'd benefit. He would most certainly benefit, not only just from probably having a more consistent diet, but, not putting on too much softness by way of eating a little too many treats, if not gaining weight is the goal. For me, bulking up, calories in, that is the goal. So I don't mind eating some treats. I just got a bunch of donuts earlier. I love the jelly-filled donuts, but why the fuck would they be powdered? That just does not make any sense to me. I want a jelly-filled donut, but I want it to be glazed, right? I don't know if anybody can really relate to that little gripe, but whatever. So, I'm trying to bulk up. I want to put on mass, and sure, I'm going to add a little bit of body fat too. I'm not as lean as I was during the cut, but that being the cost of muscle gain, I don't mind. I do not freaking mind. Plus, add your daily cardio in to kind of mitigate that amount of fat deposits. And guess what? I'm in the freaking green. So, sweets, treats, steaks, beefs, ramens, ice creams, eggs, turkeys, proteins, carbs, and fats, man. So, if it takes what feels like shoveling down food to put you into enough of a surplus to actually gain weight over a couple of days, or over the period of weeks, then that's really just kind of what you have to do. The issue, I was just saying in the last car talk, I was talking about how it's not so important about your split or your workout style or your rep schemes or whatever, or even like your overall training style. Maybe you're doing more power building or bodybuilding sets and whatever. The one point that kind of has to overarch all those that you got to max out is the training intensity. So I could go in there and do all sorts of random shit, but as long as I went hard, I would stimulate some growth for sure, or stimulate the potential for growth. Now I've got to couple that with enough food to power that growth. So when I go home tonight and I go to bed with a full belly, all those nutrients and whatever are going to get partitioned at least as nicely as I could hope to upper chest, my mid chest, probably a little bit of biceps, a little bit of front delts. You get the drill. There's a reason why on all those kind of cliche looking shirts that it just says eat, sleep, and lift. Those are the three basic pillars which you want to maximize for growth. And putting too much emphasis on a small detail of just one of them, it's not going to beat just improving the big picture. So switching from doing half supinated bicep curls with 1 rep max in reserve to whatever, man. If you could improve your intensity over time, and you could eat some more food over time, and you could get your ass in bed a little bit earlier and get some more sleep, then those are the things that are really going to improve your progress, regardless of what you may or may not believe your natural potential to be. Progress is still progress. So I think that's pretty much all I got to say there. I'm not sputtering, but I got to find a gas station pronto, ASAP. I've never run out of gas, but the amount of times that I've come close, I'd probably be inclined to think otherwise. So it's winter break, it's holidays, eat some food, get a little bit of extra sleep, maybe just chill out. Right? Whatever you're stressing about, it might actually not be that important, and you're just kind of projecting a sense of value on something that is maybe just total bullshit, and it's kind of affecting your mood. The more zen you can be, I'd say the better your lifts are going to be too. I love that no matter what kind of random ass piece of advice I say, it always kind of relates back to improving lifts. So take that how you will. But I've got back tomorrow, cardio and calves in the morning, and a ton of food in between. So I'll see you next time.